Welcome to OState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. What a great night it was last night inside of, or whenever you're watching this, it would be on Tuesday night, inside of historic Gallagher-Iba Arena. Hopefully the crowds will come back as Coach Lutz continues to show progress with this program. Well, you know, one of the things that we've said several different times, Scott McKinley, whenever he joins on our live shows each Sunday evening at 6, the one thing that he has said is, just want to see a positive direction, something positive in the program. And he definitely saw that last night. Now, not going to make too much out of it in the sense that K-State is a horrific road team, not a good team at all. So this was a game that Oklahoma State was favored in. It was a game they needed to win, and it was a game that they did win. And the exciting part of that is OSU goes to Utah, a team that is very similar to them. If you go up to Salt Lake City and play like you did Tuesday night, I think OSU is going to have a good chance to win that game. At that point, you've won 2 games in a row. You're 2-2 in Big 12 play. And who knows with these bunch of veterans, if Abu Usman continues to play the way he does, if Chichi Avery continues to light it up from three-point range like he's 3 for 6 last night. He's shown when he gets hot. I mean, he has Randy Rutherford range, right? Brandon Newman is just kind of a really solid player. And then I'll tell you another thing. Khalil Brantley, 5 assists, only 1 turnover. That's kind of been one of the things that we've talked about. Not kind of. It's been one of the things we've talked about quite a bit, is that with Arturo Dean and Khalil Brantley, with their size, it's very difficult for them to actually finish plays and score for themselves. So if they can draw defense and kick and draw defense and pass, and then another thing is if Oklahoma State can actually make the shot like they did last night, if Khalil Brantley and Arturo Dean can become more of a distributor type point guard using their quickness, I think that actually maximizes what they're able to do, because I think their biggest strength is ball handling skills and quickness. And when you have a 5-to-1 turnover ratio as a point guard, you have done your job. Also, Bryce Thompson, if you remember in the second half when K-State came out and they junked it up a little bit with some zone defense. Oklahoma State had slowed down. OSU went on that 15-0 run in the first half, which was awesome. Khalil Brantley ended that half with the steal and then the little J to put Oklahoma State on that 15-0 run to have a 19-point lead heading into half. That was fun. But then K-State comes out, they junk it up with the zone, and you're thinking, oh my God, here we go. It's down to 11. This is not a program that is used to winning a whole lot. You could easily see Oklahoma State go on one of those patented long dry spells, let K-State back in the game, and then once you let K-State back in the game with a group of guys that aren't totally familiar with each other, because Coach Lutz had to put such a patchwork roster together, certainly not a roster of guys that have built a winning culture yet, right? You're thinking, oh my God, here we go. K-State's found maybe a kryptonite to what Oklahoma State can't do that night. Then Bryce Thompson nails a three-pointer and then moves that thing back up to 14. Less than a minute later, the lead's back up to 17, and Oklahoma State cruised from there. So all in all, although K-State, you got to call a spade, not a very good team, a terrible road team, I don't care. That's their problem. Oklahoma State did exactly what they were supposed to do, and they took control of the game, got an early 5-0 lead, and although the game was tied at 13-13 at one point, for the most part, they took care of business. They did what they were supposed to. So it was super exciting. And then also another exciting part of this, listening to Brendan Manzer talk, who is a good friend of mine. He grew up just down the street. He's 1 year older than I am, grew up at Stillwater High School. And we both grew up in the same neighborhood. So we played a lot of basketball. I wouldn't say a lot, but we played basketball together, some in the driveway as a kid and that kind of thing. And so good friend, we're friends, right? We grew up in the same neighborhood, that kind of thing. So listening to him talk, I listen to every word he says because he's just an incredible basketball analyst, was a great player there at Oklahoma State, just an unbelievably great player at Stillwater High School. He mentioned several different times about how good of a coach that Steve Lutz is. And every time I hear somebody like Brendan Manzer, and really if you just kind of listen throughout the basketball community, because as I've said many different times, my basketball knowledge is very limited, so I really have to rely on guys that I trust to kind of feed me some information that makes sense to me as far as what we're wanting to see with Oklahoma State basketball. I can see if they're passing the ball. I can see if Khalil Brantley has more assists than turnovers. But in terms of, just the ins and outs and the intricacies and the little things that really make all the big differences in basketball, I really rely on guys like Brendan and maybe even a Fran Fuchilla, although I think he over-sensationalizes things. But I trust Brendan Manzer to really shoot things straight with Coach Lutz, with this program, with where it's headed. And he mentioned several different times how great of a coach that Coach Lutz is. So congratulations, Coach Lutz, if you come across this, which I'm sure you won't. But in case you do, or if anybody else does, congratulations on your first Big 12 win. And as Brendan mentioned several different times, first of many, because last night was an absolutely awesome game in terms of the way that, yes, we did mention K-State not great, but still, this was not, kind of like in football when you play an inferior opponent or opponent that's not very good, and you just throw a bunch of fade patterns and a bunch of deep balls and you out-athlete them, that's one thing. But when you actually, even if your opponent's not as good, if you out-execute them, it doesn't matter, because then you feel good just about the way that you executed. So I really feel like last night, Oklahoma State out-executed K-State, even in a game to where you might say K-State's not as great. Don't take credit away from OSU. OSU absolutely executed very well last night in scoring 39 points. So how well did they execute? 15 assists. So they had 15 assists. Still need probably to cut down the turnovers a little bit. Not terribly, though. It's getting better. But 15 assists, 11 steals, 11 offensive rebounds. That's one thing I really like. We're 14 for 18 from the free throw line. Thank God Oklahoma State can shoot free throws again. Oh, man. There is nothing, even for somebody like me that doesn't know a whole lot about basketball, there is nothing that will piss somebody off faster than watching your team clank free throw after free throw and lose freaking games because of it. That is something that will make you mad faster than anything else. So 14 of 18 from the free throw line. It wasn't needed last night, but when Oklahoma State gets in games that they can win, when they're matched up talent-wise well enough to win, that free throw line and that type of free throw shooting will make a difference. So hopefully Oklahoma State can continue to shoot free throws well. 9 of 21 from behind the three-point line, and it's not just the 9 for 21. Again, yes, that is great, but you might say, well, yeah, shooting's going to come and go. That's absolutely the case, no doubt about it. Just like hitting in baseball, you're going to hit the ball well sometimes you're not. But I will say this, Oklahoma State ran its offense through Abu Usman, and then also Khalil Brantley, who had 5 assists and just 1 turnover. So he was dishing the ball. So I say that to say the offense ran inside out, and when you run the offense inside out, you get that defense to have to collapse on a penetrating guard or a collapse on an Abu Usman who is posting up. And then once that defense collapses, then they can kick it back out. And then the shots from beyond the arc on the outside are more open. Shooters have more time to get themselves set. And because of that, because you play offense inside out, you end up with a 9 for 21 night. I would venture to say that if Oklahoma State is able to generate the exact same three-point shots every single night, that pretty much every single night would look just like a 9 for 21, because this team, whenever they get the right shots, when Brandon Newman has the right shot and has time to set up for it, when Marcellus Avery has time to set up for a three-pointer, they're going to make it if it's the right shot and it's in the right scenario and the offense was ran to get them open. So I think it's bigger than just to say they were 9 for 21. It's how they got to the 9 for 21 from beyond the arc. OSU had 3 guys last night that scored in double digits, right? That's fantastic. And then also Brandon Newman had 9 points. So you had 3 guys in double digits, one that was just 1 point away from that. So no doubt about it. There's no two bones about it. Oklahoma State answered K-State's runs. Oklahoma State went on runs of their own. They didn't go on long droughts offensively, and they shared the ball. They shot the ball. They rebounded the ball. They didn't turn it over excessively. Last night was a hell of a game, point blank. Now, I'm pretty euphoric about it because I'm excited that Oklahoma State got its first Big 12 win, something we did not see in football. And so you're thinking, God dang, man, certainly we can't go winless in both football and basketball. So a part of this is relieving that I saw one of the major sports actually win a Big 12 game. That's not a good enough mentality to have, I understand. So hopefully Coach Lutz can continue to move this forward. And if you continue to get performances from Abu Usman, who, if you haven't seen the highlight videos, it's all on my social medias. I will link that. Just go to OState Daily, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If I do it here on YouTube, then it gets tagged as copyrighted. And then from that perspective, it can't be monetized. So I'm going to go ahead and put the links on there and let you go find them on our social media clips if you want to do that. But Abu Usman, unstoppable. Man, that little left-handed baby hook, his footwork in the paint was so good. 27 points for the big lefty, 11 for 15 from the field, had 5 rebounds, and then he also had 2 blocks. So what a great game for Abu Usman. And again, when the offense can run through him, Oklahoma State can play inside out. That then makes the outside shooting that much better because the shots are set up that much more better, I should say. That's not how you say that. I sound like a hick or redneck. I don't know exactly what words I'm looking for, though. But the shots are better, they're cleaner, and they tend to go in more from that perspective. How about Jamyron Keller? So one of the things Oklahoma State, in my opinion, has needed is a guy that when the play clock, the shot clock, I should say, winds down and the offensive set has broken down, what's going to happen? OSU needs a guy that they can just throw the ball to and say, go score. I think that guy is Jamyron Keller because he can bully his defenders. He's so strong. He can just out-strengthen his defenders and just, if he can't blow, and he's quick too, so if he doesn't blow by him, then he can overpower them. And I think Jamyron Keller can create his own offense in a broken down situation beyond what he can do within the confines of running an offense. So I've said this many times. I think Jamyron Keller is a big key because I think he's a guy that can do things outside the box for this OSU team that other guys can't do with his strength and with his quickness. I love it when he takes it to the rack. I love it. I'll just say this. I think when Jamyron Keller is a big part of the offense, I think we're going to see the trend is going to be Oklahoma State is having a good night offensively as a team. Last night was that way. And so good job, Jamyron Keller. I thought that was a good performance for him. It was exciting to see, obviously, Marcellus Avery. We mentioned he went 3 for 6 from three-point range. He had 13 points. So Abu Usman had the big 27-point night. You have 13 points for Chi Avery as well. And then Bryce Thompson also was the third double-digit scorer, and he's another guy. I get it. He's inconsistent, but I will say this. When Bryce Thompson is just last night was very efficient for him. He was 3 for 8 from the floor, which meant he didn't take like 25 shots. And then the shots that he made, or the shots that he took, were good shots. One of them was a big one when K-State brought it back to within 11. And then he made almost half of them. So if this was not a superstar night for Bryce Thompson, I think whenever he came in with all the accolades, Oklahoma State fans were hoping he was the Cade Cunningham or, the Brian Nash, something like that, the next superstar at OSU, the next Joey Graham or the next Randy Rutherford or whatever it may be. And he just hasn't been that guy. And that's okay. All Oklahoma State needs Bryce Thompson to be is exactly what he was last night. Take 8 shots, make 3 of them, score 10 points, hit a big shot, and here every now and then don't turn the ball over, have 2 or 3 rebounds, and just be a good, solid player, which is exactly what Bryce Thompson was last night. We talked about Khalil Brantley, how he was absolutely the definition of a point guard last night with the way he distributed the ball with 5 assists, 1 turnover, looking to set the offense up for others. I love the way he played. And then also, I think you got to have those glue guys. You know, you got to have like the Jamiron Keller or maybe the Marcellus Avery or the Abu Usman, who you can rely on to be your scorer type guys, your Khalil Brantley to be your dishers. Then you need the guy that just kind of does a little bit of everything, and he holds everything together like glue. I think that guy for Oklahoma State is Brandon Newman. Just a solid player, nothing spectacular. He has great experience at Purdue. He also has great experience with Coach Lutz, which is why when he shoots the right shot from the outside, Coach Lutz knows it's going in. Just watch Coach Lutz's mannerisms. When Brandon Newman shoots the right type of shot, Coach Lutz will let you know that he knows that ball's going in because he has so much experience with Brandon Newman. So, hey, next up, Utah. Again, Oklahoma State 1-2 in Big 12 play and really looking to gain some momentum. Go to Utah, win that game, even your Big 12 slate up. And again, you can score from the inside with Abu Usman, Marcellus Avery, Brandon Newman, occasionally Bryce Thompson. There's a couple of other guys that can. Abu Usman hit a 3-pointer last night. You have some outside ability. You have some ability to drive the ball to the bucket. And then Coach Lutz, we know he wants to major in defense. So there are some pieces there. Just got to get some momentum, get some confidence, get some continuity together, define some roles. And by the time you get all those defined roles and get the continuity together, bring all these different people together at the last minute to make this roster, if you're just within striking distance, like you're 500 or so in conference, by the time you hit your stride, then who knows what can happen. That's the hope for Oklahoma State basketball. I want to thank you for tuning in to another edition of OState Daily. Go Pokes!